With Pulsex and Pulsechain launching so soon, have you ever considered any other ERC20s that may hold a larger amount of value or that may actually present some arbitrage opportunities within Pulsex because of the free copy on Pulsechain? We're going to take a look at Liquidity and their LUSD token and run through an example here to get an idea of what might be taking place when Pulsechain launches. So, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it's good to freaking see you. If you're returning and you haven't already subscribed, what's up, bro? This is your second time here. And for those of you who are here for the first time, if you enjoy this content, there are some links down below if you'd like to support. Highly recommend checking out Twitter. I'm actually having a contest right now with my buddy. He bet me 50,000 hex that I cannot beat his Twitter following by July 30th. I've got 3,000 and change, and he's got 14,000 and change. So the only way I see myself winning this is with your help. So if you find value in this, you can check out the Twitter down below. Jump over there, follow, and retweet something over there. Well, let's get into the details here. Liquidity is effectively the same thing as liquid loans here, but it's on the Ethereum side. So liquid loans, right, you may have heard about if you've been paying attention to Pulse or Pulsex. Well, it's a copy of Liquidity, right? And by digging through for this video, in my opinion, the Liquid Loans has a far better website, far better marketing. Even just the naming of their tokens is superior, in my opinion. But we're not going to talk about the marketing of that here. In this protocol, just for a broad overview, you put in Ethereum and then you get to pull out LUSD, and that is their stable coin, right, that is backed up by the Ethereum. So if something were to happen, we just had Luna, right? We just had the collapse of Luna, Terra, UST, right? We have UST, algorithmically supposed stablecoin, the Luna token on the Terra network, right? And we had that collapse. But the UST was not backed by anything other than you could trade it in for something else that was variable. There was no collateral on it. The difference here is that every LUSD is backed up by Ethereum. So at any point, people can go in and switch it out. So this is going to hold the peg to $1 relatively well. If you look at Nomics, you get to actually see some of this. And I think I'm just going on my tangent here a little bit. LUSD. It's currently at $1. This is 0.0079, right? So a little bit over $1. It tends to trade a little bit over $1 if you look at this. Whoa. If you look at their chart here, it tends to trade just at about $1, but just over $1 here. And what happens with all these algorithmically, kind of stabilized coins here, right? Because if there isn't a price differential, then they can go back into the protocol and redeem it for $1 for the Pulse. If this was actually trading at a different dollar amount, say this was at 98 cents, now somebody could buy 98 cents worth of LUSD and then bring it into the protocol and redeem it for $1 worth of Pulse. Now, to make sense with the Ethereum mainnet fees, right, and there's a redemption fee in Liquidity, it would have to be a large quantity to do so, but that's why we see this. That's why we see this variability, right? It's like a stable coin, but it's also pretty variable. So let's get back into what we were actually talking about here. When we look at Liquidity, we understand that it's basically just going to be a fork of Liquid Loans, or vice versa. Liquid Loans is a fork of it. And how it's going to work is on Ethereum. So you put in the ETH, as we mentioned, and you get the LUSD out. Or you can buy USD, LUSD on Uniswap. Now, when we get into these two things here, we're going to talk about first the wrapped version of LUSD. So that's going to be this coming through this bridge here, right? Then we're going to talk about the liquid loans token for a second in terms of the pairing here, right, and here. And then we're going to talk about the Pulse LUSD. What is that? That's the copy of this. So remember, this is ELUSD, and then this is PLUSD, right? All these acronyms, right? It's hard to keep up with them. Just pay attention. I'll work through as simply as possible. And lastly, this is the wild card here, but this is going to be the super interesting part. This is going to be towards the end. Well, the whole thing is interesting, but this I threw in here just because I think it's going to be fascinating, because you could also use this as another way to arbitrage, but that's more so with Pulse, not necessarily with stablecoins. Okay, so let's get into here and let's talk about the wrapped LUSD. So whether somebody is using the protocol and they have this, or they want to just go buy it in the market and do this. And you could have either one of these players do this, because there's people who have money who want to make more money and do this. So what happens is they bring this over to the bridge here and this I think uses the Omni bridge. It's a Pulsex's bridge is a swap of Omni bridge, which according to Richard Hart is supposedly one of the better ones out there. So they bring this through on this bridge, and what comes out the other side is this wrapped, right? Is this wrapped LUSD. And this LUSD is going to hold at about $1, because if this wrapped version of LUSD, right? Because you put it into the bridge, they hold on to your token, and then you take it out. You take out a minted version of a wrapped token, right? So you have LUSD on Ethereum. You put that into the bridge. They hold on to your tokens, and then out on the other side, you get a wrapped Pulsechain token that's wrapped LUSD. Now, this is going to hold the peg at close to $1 on the Pulse side, due to if, say, there was $10,000. Let's say somebody bought $10,000 worth on Uniswap of this, and then they brought this to the bridge and they brought it over here. Then on this side, this is trading at, say, 5K. So what does that mean? Well, if that's the case, then what I would do is I would just purchase this 5K, bring it to the bridge, send it back through the bridge, and get 10K. So it's an easy double on your bag, minus the bridge fees, right? Because this is going to charge 0.1%, I believe. And then you also have to pay the Pulse mainnet fee and the Ethereum mainnet fees, right? So there's 3 fees involved. So, you know, maybe $50 worth, depending on how congested the network is, or something along those lines, to actually go through this process. So instead of having a double, you have marginally less than a double in your bag, right? But still, that's why this number here is not going to be 5K. This is going to be way closer to 10K. Because of that, right? Because the wrapped version needs to hold its value relatively close, because otherwise somebody can just go through and get free money. Now, with that being said, there are abnormal things that happen in the market, and this is one thing, one of the several things that we're going to touch on in here to pay attention to, right? So I think there's going to be 3 different opportunities where somebody can go through and make money. So pay attention to this. If you see the wrapped LUSD here trading for, you know, $8,000, and you can bring it through to the bridge and redeem it on the Ethereum side for a dollar's worth, you can make $2,000 just by doing that transaction. And then you can repeat it and do it over, and then repeat it and do it over until you drive that price up. So there's one opportunity. Now, the next opportunity is once we have this wrapped version over here, let's take a break on the wrapped version for a second, actually, and talk about USDL. USDL is liquid loans version, right? That's going to be native to Pulsechain. So that's this right here. So this is going to hold the value because it's backed up by Pulse, right? We understand why this is going to hold the value. There's always the redeemability, just like there is going to be with this, right? If you want, if this was actually trading at 50 cents on the dollar, right? This is trading at 50 cents instead of just over a dollar. Then what somebody could do is buy it at 50 cents, take it to the protocol, and get $1 worth of Pulse. So they get a double on their bag minus fees, right? So the same thing is over here, right? For liquid loans, you put in, if the USDL is trading at 50 cents, right? Then you go buy it for 50 cents, you bring it over to the liquid loans protocol, and you get $1 worth of Pulse, and you double your shit, right? Now, let's go back over to our example here. Now we understand a couple things. We understand wrapped LUSD, that's going to maintain its peg because of the bridge here, right? We also understand USDL, but that is going to maintain its value because it's backed up by Pulse. What about pUSDL? Let's talk about that. pUSDL is going to be the free copy on Pulsechain, right? Because everything on Ethereum is getting copied over. So that means that effectively all of Ethereum in the protocol, which is around $700 million when I looked at it yesterday evening on this protocol, $650 million currently in this protocol on Ethereum is going to be copied over to Pulsechain. Now, what does that mean about the value of this? This is going to be interesting. So this is another opportunity right now to make money, is what we're about to get into. Let's run through an example here. Say this wrapped USDL trades 1 for 2, right? People are not valuing this derivative play or this Pulse version of LUSD because it's a copy, right? And let's say that the wrapped LUSD in the native liquid loans stable is trading at 1 for 1, meaning one wrapped LUSD you can trade for 1 USDL token for the liquid loans protocol. Now, this here. What about this? The USDL Pulse LUSD. Say this is trading at 1 for 3. Right? So now, what does this all mean? You're just like, these are fancy fucking colors, Sam. How do I make some money? We're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to get to this money. This is number 2, right? Then there's going to be a third option when we get into the front ends. Okay, so say this is trading this way. You can go to here when this launches, right? And you'll be able to see what these are trading at, assuming people create pairs, right? And if they don't, you could always create the pair. Not saying that you should, but you could, right? Because maybe we should talk about that in more depth in a different video. If you care to see that, we can talk about that in a separate video. Leave me a comment down below. Also, if you like this video so far, make sure to press that thumbs up button, right? I enjoy these videos, and hopefully they're helpful to you. And if they are, right, then hitting that thumbs up is a very cheap way for you to show that they actually do provide some type of value, as well as it's helpful for you in the sense that when you come to YouTube, if I drop a video, it's more likely to help with the algorithm in terms of putting that video in front of you. So if you enjoy the content, you're like, this guy's not a complete fucking moron. I'd like to see his videos again when he drops them. Right? Pressing that like button and or leaving a comment tells the YouTube algorithm that next time I release a video and you are on YouTube, that video has a higher propensity to show up in front of you. Well, let's get back into it. How do you make money when these are trading this way? Well, let's go from the USDL side, right? So say you have $10,000 here, right? Or we'll just walk through the numbers and show you how you can do this, because you can scale this to any dollar amount, right? You have one USDL or one wrapped LUSD. Now, what are these saying effectively here? This is saying that one wrapped LUSD equals 2 of the pulse LUSD. Here it's saying the USDL, 1 of those equals 3, right? Do you want 1 or do you want 2? I'm sorry, do you want 3 or do you want 2? So what we're going to do is we'd come over to, if we had wrapped, right, we would trade into USDL. We'd come up here and we'd switch over to 3, right? If we already had USDL, then we would just go straight to this step. But if we were following from the beginning, just assuming somebody was like a whale and they were like, this is an incentive for them to get money, make money, right? They would bring this in and they would switch their wrapped LUSD for USDL, right? 1 for 1 there. Now they're going to take their USDL and they'll swap it for their pulse LUSD, 3 for 1. So they just got a 3x on their, and remember, it's not necessarily a 3x in terms of their bags, just 3x in terms of their tokens. But where they actually get the profit on this is when they take this and they come up here, because they get a 30% increase, right? So they say they took, let's just do 100, right? They took 100 through this bridge, they brought it over here, they swapped it for USDL, they took 100 USDL here, and they took that and they swapped it for the pUSD. So now they have 300 pLUSD. Now they take this and they swap it back to here, right? So now they take, let me pull out the calculator, right? So we're going to get 50%, right? So we're going to get 150, right? Right? Because we're going to put in this into here, we're going to get 150 of this. When you take 2, for every 2 pUSD, we get 1 wrapped LUSD. Right? So we're going to come out on this side with 150. Whoops. By the way, you guys should I should have been an artist. Motherfuckers. This shit is crazy. Crazy 6-year-old writing, right? Okay, so what did we start with? For a hint for you guys, if you weren't paying attention, we started with $100. What do we have now? 150. That's because of these ratios. Let's get rid of some of this stuff and try to clean it up just a smidge, right? So we start with $100 in the bottom from the other direction. Let's assume that we're starting on this side, right? We're going to start with $100. Let's make this into something that's easier for you guys to see. We're going to start with a dark blue here, right? We're going to start with $100 here of USDL. Now we're going to take this USDL up here into here. Now we're going to trade it through for this. So now we're going to have 300. Now we went from $100 worth of USDL to $100 worth of pLUSD for a total of 300 tokens. Now we're going to take this up here, we're going to put it into this pair, and we're going to get half of the 300 out the other side for 150, right? Now you're like, well, I have 2 different tokens now. Yes, but you could just take this down here, plop this back into this pair here, 150 out the other side. Now you have 150 USDL. right? So you can go on either direction, or the other thing you could do, so if you want, that's assuming you would want USDL, right? If you don't want USDL, you just take this 150 back through the bridge, out the other side. This 150, as we already talked about when we talked about the wrapped version of the LUSD, has to hold a value of about $1, because if not, because that was point number one on how you can make money. If it's trading at 7,000, cool. Buy that shit for 7,000, send it back through the bridge, so that you can make money on it. $3,000, right? In that $10,000 example we did a second ago, right? So this way you can make money here. Now, let's go through another example on how you could make money here. And this one I wanted to do live. To see what kind of like thought of as I went through and did this. So front ends, right? We look at Liquidity, and they have an option to create and run your own front end. There's going to be a copy of the token called whatever Liquid Loans calls it, their loan token, right? Their $ loan token. On Liquidity, it's called like LQTY, I think it is, and basically the loan token, right? I don't know why they couldn't have named a better marketing with it or something, but it's going to effectively the loan token that Liquid Loans has. They call LQTY, right? All that's going to be copied over to here, which means that if somebody is using the protocol on Ethereum and they have, say, a boatload of this LQTY token, what do they have an incentive to do? Say they have several $1 million worth, right? If they've got 10 G's worth or 10 MM, right? What are they going to do? Well, if they spend the 50 grand or whatever it comes out to be to create the front end on the Pulsechain side, right? Then there's going to be a front end on this side, and this is also going to be this is going to be getting into part 3 and how you can make money here, right? Okay, so if you take this person who has a large bag, right, and they come over here and they create a front end on the Pulsechain side. Now, what does that do? Well, that's going to, in my opinion, it's going to give these utility now, right? Because they don't have the utility necessarily until a front end is created. Once this is created, this pLUSD can actually be brought into the protocol, just like you can over here, just like you will be able to on here, and get Pulse out. On here you can get Ethereum out. Well, you can do that over here and get your Pulse out, right? Because all the Pulse is just going to be copied over as Ethereum. I'm sorry, the other way around. All the Ethereum is going to be copied over as Pulse on the Pulsechain network. So you could bring your pLUSD from PulseX into the protocol to actually get out Pulse, right? PLS. Now, we should probably do a whole separate video on this because it's going to be a little bit complex because I didn't draw it out. So, we're going to have a couple things in play here. You're going to have the pUSDL that can be brought in the protocol in exchange for $1 worth of Pulse, right? So, let's go through, let's see if we can get rid of all this crapola on the screen to make it a little bit easier to see. Well, let's start again, right? Where we are going to start with that dark blue color again. We're going to bridge where you're going to have this or we're going to have this, right? We'll just assume that it's the player that has $10 million of Ethereum or USDL or the loan token on the Ethereum side. So they have a bunch of this LUSD. Then they bridge this over, right? Now, when they bridge this over, if they just swapped it for pLUSD, then they were going to be losing out on that 50% gain they could have. So they could switch it over here to the USDL and then trade through this sequence, right? We're not going to go through all that math again because maybe these are both trading at 1 for 2, right? Assume that this is actually trading at 1 for 2 now. Then what they can do is they could take this wrapped LUSD, right, to there. Well, it wouldn't be like this. It would more be like they would just bring it in here into this pair and they would switch it. So they would get a double. So say if they brought in 10M. Whoa, damn, this artistic work. Like you can just say Picasso down below in the comments, right? Now they've got 20 million tokens of pLUSD, right? So they could get double the number of tokens, but remember the tokens are trading at 50% less. But they have the incentive to create the front end, because what does each one of those tokens represent? What you're able to redeem it at in the protocol, but you're not going to get Ethereum, you're going to get Pulse, right? So they can go in here and they can take their 10 million, bring it through here, get double the number of tokens, but the tokens are still redeemable for $1's worth of Pulse. So they can come in through here and get double the Pulse on this side for their actual tokens. Now, we don't need to cover this here, but I'm going to just put it out here for you guys to conceptualize or think about. If you have wrapped LUSD trading with Pulse, right? So you could have this pair, right? We're just going to call it W and PLS. Right? If you have this pair trading at some number, right? Say if it was 1 for 300 or 3,000, right? So one wrapped version of the LUSD is trading for $3,000 or 3,000 Pulse, right? And there's we did this math here, right? We ran through these ratios. Well, we can do a separate video on this, but basically you can do the same type of thing if P, right, the Pulse version of the copied LUSD is trading with Pulse at a different ratio than this, then there's opportunity to make money. We'll just leave it at that. The smart ones can grasp that. If you want to see a full video breakdown of that, let me know in the comments in detail like what you'd like to see, and I can break that down there. If you found value in this video, you thought it was interesting, take a second, make sure you subscribe, jump over to Twitter, say what's good on Twitter. I'm trying to beat my buddy, right? He bet me 50,000 hex that I can't beat him by July 30th. The only way I see that happening is with your help, right? Because he's got 14,000, I've got 3,000. And that means I need like 4,000 followers per month. So jump over there, press the follow button, and then press retweet on one of the things that you find interesting or insightful about what I was posting, right? If you don't find anything interesting or insightful, then don't do it, right? But maybe you will in the future, and you'll be following along because I'm over there daily. Appreciate you guys. Also, you can check out my fitness related channel. There'll be an icon up here. You can click over there where I'm flexing. Gains on you, some like physical gains on you, not just monetary gains. Check out that channel where you can also learn all about the fitness DeFi type of world, where the DeFi fitness space is something that you don't have any fucking clue about, right? Because that space is also like DeFi, where it's on the fringe of the world from a bodybuilding standpoint, from a chemistry standpoint, from a drug standpoint, from a steroid standpoint, from a peptide standpoint, all that kind of stuff related to health or blood work, all that kind of stuff is over there. So go check that out if that stuff is interesting to you. You can also check out Instagram, the link down below, or TikTok. Actually, I don't know if that link down below, but I also have a TikTok with 50,000 followers if you care to check that out. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Peace.